break. West all alone. Look at Russell come down. And what a play by Russell.
Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
Wilt ties it for Atlanta.
Chicago with the lead.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in.
I go for three. Yeah!
Jordan, look at that!
Bernard looking for 50, and he's got it. Back-to-back 50-point games for Bernard King.
Come on, man. That's too easy.
Play by Bird.
It's all about momentum. Don't give him no momentum to game 3. Right now.
Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a move by Jordan.
What a ball game.
Inbound pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win!
Watch his hands, position. Okay, hold it up. Because you recognize Bernard King, the great scorer, great all-around player of the New York Knicks.
Welcome to Fort Greene. Fort Greene Housing Development in Brooklyn, New York.
This is a story about BK from BK. Bernard King from Brooklyn, New York.
Thank you again, Mr. King. Thank you again. I'm proud to shake your hand. Here come Mr. King.
Bernard King, a.k.a. the King.
There's a connection forever with Bernard King and New York City basketball.
Biggest Bernard fan.
He was our guy.
Big Bernard fan. You're a legend. You're the king.
Don't say that. That's Fort Greene. That's Brooklyn right there.
Even those that are a bit younger that may not have seen me play, obviously, but they know of my basketball reputation.
He was my idol as far as a basketball player goes, somebody I looked up to. Being from Brooklyn, him being from Brooklyn, it just goes hand in hand.
My name's Bernard King, and I grew up here. I grew up right in this building here. Right there. That's the 12th floor, and that was my apartment. That's where I live.
You know, I talked about George Gervin being the best pure scorer I've probably ever seen. Bernard King is in that same category.
For me, it was a great place to grow up. I had a court here, and there was actually another court on the other side of the building. Can't ask for anything more in terms of if you love the game of basketball.
But as far as scoring, just a flat-out scorer.
The first thing you learn is toughness. All throughout New York City on the playgrounds is a very physical game, at least during the time that I grew up. And so you have to develop a fortitude and have heart.
It all started happening in Brooklyn, where Bernard King was a standout at Fort Hamilton High School.
After a standout career at Fort Hamilton High School, King would head south to begin his college career.
Take special note of Bernard King from New York, and now home on the University of Tennessee campus.
And when it came time for college, he started turning heads down south.
He arrived on the scene big time.
First game, Wisconsin-Milwaukee.
King moves. King drives. King lays it up. Good by King.
His first game, his freshman year, he scored 42.
42 points, first game as a freshman.
Jumpers up, bottom.
After being named SEC Player of the Year 3 times, King entered the NBA and established himself as one of the league's top young scorers.
People doubted him. They said what he did in high school at Fort Hamilton, he couldn't do at college in the SEC playing for Tennessee. They say that game doesn't translate to the NBA. He did the same thing in the NBA.
He started with the Nets, went to Golden State in Utah, and the Knicks traded for Bernard.
Then in the fall of 1982, a trade would bring him back home.
I was already in love with Bernard King because everybody in New York loved BK.
I grew up playing on the playgrounds in Brooklyn, and every kid on the street that plays basketball wants to play for the New York Knicks. It was a dream for me to play in front of my parents, my friends every night. It was a magic carpet ride.
You know, you grew up as a kid and you watch Dave DeBusschere, you watch Walt Frazier and Willis Reed, and you dream of one day maybe being out there on the court with the Knicks as well. I used to have goosebumps when I drove to Madison Square Garden.
Bernard King could always score the ball, but when he came to us in New York, that's where it seemed to blossom.
What a shot by Bernard King!
When I put that jersey on, I represent the history of the Knicks. I represent Brooklyn. I represent the city. I represent home.
And they love him already in the Big Apple.
Oh, that slam, jam, bam, Bernard King style, and a rock and roll in the garden.
And the Knicks coming again to Bernard King, to the baseline. He put the shot up, it counts! And the Garden is on its feet.
King entered the NBA in the late 70s, and soon enough his exploits would become legendary. Memories of his scoring dominance still endure.
Bernard King was a machine. He was fun to watch.
What a shot by Bernard King!
He was just a prolific scorer.
Bernard King once again.
Once he got the ball, either you were going to foul him or he was going to score or do both.
Again for King, yes, and it counts.
He had great speed.
Bernard King on the run.
He has all kinds of explosive moves.
Super move by King.
He can go 1-on-3, and he'd be going 100 miles an hour straight forward. Then he can go laterally and split the defense and be able to finish.
Bernard stole it. Bernard to the basket. What a play. And there.
Bernard King did very, very few things with pizzazz, with fancy, with a lot of splash.
Super move by King.
He had such a repertoire of offensive, big plays, his spin move.
Bernard King once again.
His release on his post-up were one of the quickest releases ever.
Bernard pulls the trigger, bullseye.
He was going to catch the ball where he wanted to. And when he got the ball and faced you up, he was in charge.
Bernard King was also poetry in motion.
Bernard King was flat out fantastic.
Absolutely an incredible offensive machine.
When Bernard King gets his hands on the ball, he is unstoppable.
The beauty of his game, the sensational part, was the running on the break. I immediately think of LeBron James. I think of Karl Malone.
Rod, who got it to Bernard.
His game was really outstanding at that time. He was feared.
Bernard King was driven by an indomitable will to succeed, and he couldn't hide his intensity.
King with a sensational rebound.
Think of Dr. J, James Worthy. Bernard King is right there. He was like a bird swooping to the basket.
He's one of the best open court players that we've seen in our league, but no one can finish any better than Bernard did.
What fans remember most about Bernard was the game face.
Very, very competitive and takes a lot of pride in how he plays and how his team plays.
You know, before the games, nobody ever wanted to talk to him, including the coaches.
He's getting ready for a game. And I grabbed him and I said, man, look at this guy over here. Look, I guess it was a celebrity. And he grabbed me and said, Rook, don't you ever, ever, ever bother me when I'm getting prepared for a game.
He had a switch. He could turn it on and off. In the locker room, he was mellow. When it came for the game, he had his game face on. He was just intense.
He had this look like he was gonna kill you on his face. And then he shook your hand and like almost was telling you like, get ready, I'm about to give you 50.
Nothing is gonna stop him. He's a man possessed and he is doing it all.
He was really unstoppable.
You're gonna play me tight? I have a move. You're gonna play off me? I have the jump shot. You're gonna force me left? I have a move going left. You force me right? I have a move going right. You overplay me? I know how to get open.
I played with some great players from Isaiah Thomas to Michael Jordan to Moses Malone, but he was the most intense player I ever played with.
I couldn't play like Magic, smiling. That was not my game. If I did that, I wouldn't play well.
Has he missed the shot?
I don't think so.
Anyone that's watched Bernard King play, they've known that I've played because of pride, and I've worked hard to get to the level that I've been at.
Even with me, once he stepped on that court, didn't know me. Didn't say a word to me.
They would say to me, how many did he get tonight? I'd go, 28. They'd go, ha-ha, 39.
I never saw anyone that could make the kind of shots he made. I mean, guys could be all over him, hanging on him.
King, double. Doesn't mean a thing. When he's on, you can double him, triple him, or put everyone on him.
When it came to scoring the ball, there were few limits to what Bernard King could do.
What a break. That's vintage Bernard King.
He just had a presence about him, an aura. He has great work ethic, extremely serious.
King is just punishing everybody in his way.
A four-time All-Star, Bernard King averaged over 22 points a game in his 14-year career. His 26.5 points per game as a New York Knick ranks him second all-time in franchise history.
Money. Bernard King was money.
Bernard pulls the trigger.
In 1984, the Brooklyn native accomplished a feat no player had since Wilt Chamberlain, 20 years earlier.
There was a time in the 80s where Bernard King was the best player, hands down, in the NBA.
Runner-up to Larry Bird for the MVP. Scores 26 points a game. First team All-NBA.
1984 was the year that King rose to a new level as an NBA scorer. Thanks in part to a pair of amazing nights on a winter road trip to Texas.
I remember one year he came to San Antonio, got 50 on us, went to Dallas the next day and got 50 on Dallas. That scar that he had on his face was telling us, watch out, here come Bernard King.
Nobody could do anything with this man.
To Bernard King, put the shot up, it counts!
We knew he was going to that spot. The 18,000 fans knew he was getting to that spot.
Bernard going with a long jump shot. On a shot by King!
5 seconds, here's Bernard looking for 50, he's got it. Bernard King already has about 25 tonight. On the baseline, shoots over Gervin, he's got more. Bernard King, he drives inside, shots up good, and he's fouled. Here's Bernard looking for 50, he's got it. 5 seconds, here's Bernard looking for 50, he's got it.
We're at San Antonio, Bernard scores 50. Next night we go to Dallas, and you figure, well, what else can he do to top this?
Give it to King, the screaming.
They said, give it to B.
All right, here it is. Bernard looking for 50, and he's got it. Back-to-back 50-point games for Bernard King.
The following night, Bernard had more magic in store.
Bernard looking for 50, and he's got it. Back-to-back 50-point games for Bernard King. Bernard looking for 50, and he's got it. Back-to-back 50-point games for Bernard King.
100 points in less than 24 hours.
It's hard to get 30 points back-to-back. It's hard to get 20 points back-to-back. Better yet, 50 points. That was special.
For a guy to put back-to-back 50-point games in that era, where defense is played much differently than it is now, that tells you something about his skill level and the type of driven player he was at the offensive end.
Bernard King is just punishing everybody in his way.
He was capable of doing that every night. He would be like the pitcher in baseball who you think could throw a no-hitter every time out.
I remember watching, Game on Christmas.
60 points for Bernard King.
It's 1984, the garden is packed, and I'm sitting in the last row. I mean, I could touch the roof. And Bernard King, he was giving the Nets the business. 10, 20, 40 points.
Tonight at Madison Square Garden, the New York Knicks and the New Jersey Nets meet for the second time this season. Play ball.
All right, Butch Beard, the starting lineups for tonight's game. A little over 3 minutes, and Bernard King unties it. He's fouled. That's one way to get out of guarding Bernard King, get 3 quick fouls. They let him go right around him that time. That's not bad touch there by Bernard King.
Going without it.
Bailey got it to Bernard King. See you later. First one long, the second short. And Bernard King as well. Knowing Rick Barry, he was probably calling for the ball. Bernard King got it over Michael Ray Richardson. Bernard King has 25 points with 5:11 to play in the period. It's going to be more. All right, Bernard King got away from Michael Ray and hit this shot. Fans want Bernard to go. He does. He hit it. Bernard King. Yeah, he thought I was kidding you, right? He's got 35. 40 points. 40 for Bernard King in the first half. It's a left knee, and it's injured behind the knee. Bernard King again. Bernard fakes, now shoots over Jaminski and hits it.
Hello. Goodbye. Oh, forget it.
Bernard King shooting over George Johnson.
Too quick.
He's got 51. On this foul shot, he's tied the record. You saw it here. 58 for Bernard King. Bernard King looking for his 60th point. 60 for Bernard King. Bernard King becomes the all-time single-game scorer in Knicks history with 60.
Second half, 50, 60 points. He was stopping and popping, posted and toasted. All hail the King.
Bernard King becomes the all-time single-game scorer in Knicks history with 60.
He could do whatever he wanted.
And the fans who turned out tonight to see Bernard King play in this Christmas night ball game have seen quite a show. 60 points for Bernard King, the record all-time for a Knickerbocker.
When Bernard King gets his hands on the ball, he is unstoppable.
The playoffs in '84. In the 5-game series with Detroit, he gets 40 or more in 4 of the 5 games.
Despite playing with the flu and 2 dislocated fingers, he led the Knicks into a decisive Game 5 against the Pistons.
He was leading the league in scoring at that time. He was averaging close to 32, 33 points a game.
We're worrying about whether he's going to give us a half a game.
Here's King. Yes.
Will is more important than skill. And Bernard had great skill, but he had an iron will. And no one was as fierce a competitor.
The bigger the pressure, the bigger he played.
King, yes, and it counts. But King was playing with dislocated fingers on each hand as they faced the Detroit Pistons in the first round.
Bernard takes it to the hoop, yes, and it counts.
King somehow managed to score 44 points, willing the Knicks to victory with an epic performance.
No one in the NBA had the heart that he had and played with the iron will that he played with.
The New York Knicks have defeated the Detroit Pistons in overtime.
Next, the Knicks would face their rivals to the north, the Boston Celtics, and King received some extra motivation.
Cedric Maxwell made some comments in the paper that I would not get 40 points against them. I never entered into trash talking. I let my play speak for itself.
Bernard King, who was having one of those nights.
It's now 5-0 the Knicks as Bird connects on the inside. Larry Bird, good position inside.
Larry Bird did get the good position that time on Bernard King, and he ended the drought for the Boston Celtics.
Easily shot over. Bernard King, beautiful arcing jump shot. Bernard King, bottom of the net again. They kicked King off that time, and that's all the time the Larry Bird needed to make it 11-6. Bird has 4 of the 6 Celtic points. King has 4 of the 11 Knick points. Bernard King. To you fans to keep you up to date.
Warm or loose.
Bernard King in the baseline. Bernard King. Unbelievable. Up to Bernard King. Blows right by Maxwell. Comes in the lane. What a shot and a foul. Bernard King, and listen to this crowd. Bernard King, double team, puts his shot up and hit.
Can never tell.
Bernard King.
Should be 3 seconds on Parrish.
Bird faked right around Bernard King and buried it. Away. Bird's hit 9 in a row. 4 here from the outside with their guards. Bernard King. Bird. 7:04 to play in the fourth. Larry Bird. Larry Bird again. Bernard King. Again. Bernard King. 44 Bernard.
King would put up not 1, but 2 40-point performances.
Maybe King is saying to Maxwell, I got my 40.
You knew where he was going. You knew when he was going to get there. But you couldn't stop what was about to happen.
Bernard King. Again. Bernard King again superior tonight. 44.
And he was on such a roll. And it was amazing to watch, but there was something more special about it because he was from Brooklyn.
As he single-handedly pushed the eventual champs, the Boston Celtics, to 7 games, while serving notice that he'd become one of the elite players in the league.
King's heroics would force the eventual champs to 7 games. And though the Knicks lost the series, he had cemented his status as a superstar.
Bernard King, I think, is the best forward in the league, hands down.
Even though he could always score the ball against us and the Detroit Pistons, he showed everyone throughout the world how great a player he was.
In 1985, King was leading the league in scoring and was at the top of his game.
Then the career is drastically changed because he blows out a knee.
And I remember Reggie Theus going down for a fast break.
And back the other way is Reggie Theus.
And Bernard was chasing him down. And as he gathered to go up and try to block the shot, you could just see his body contort when he was up in the air. And as soon as he was up in the air,
Look out. King hurt himself.
We were in a 1-point game. Reggie Theus was breaking down the sideline for a layup, and Bernard King tried to catch him. You could hear the blowout in the knee, and it was like someone shot him as he went to the floor.
he heard a major snap, and he just laid on the floor, and it was really devastating.
Look out. King hurt himself.
He was our main scorer and our top guy, and just to see him in pain, it was a terrible feeling.
He had torn his ACL in his right knee.
It was thought that would be the end of the career for Bernard King.
And you figure the career's over, because nobody's coming back at that time from a catastrophic knee injury like Bernard King suffered.
At the time, a comeback from this injury was considered nearly impossible. But Bernard nevertheless embarked on a grueling rehabilitation program.
And he put in relentless work, and his rehab was unbelievable.
I personally believe I'm definitely going to play again. I don't have time for being down. I'm a fighter, and don't ever count Bernard King out. But I recognize that if I work hard on rehabilitating my knee, as I've worked as hard to get here, not only will I come back, but that's not my goal, is to come back. My goal is to come back and be an all-pro.
And in the spring of 1987, he defied the odds and returned to the NBA.
I think we've waited long enough. Here's the captain, Bernard King.
He became a free agent, and he signed a contract with the Washington Bullets. And in the first game back to the Garden, he scores 40.
Bernard King, again. I think Bernard came to play. And here's King with a quick release. Not the case in the ball. King, Bernard King, King, again, King, good play by Workman, and here's King. Off the double team, Knicks lead by 11, King. King guarded by Vandeweghe, surpassed expectations.
Bernard King was his most spectacular one, and Mark Jackson shows no touch, no feel on that one.
And here comes King, yes, and it counts. And the Bullets get it down. A 3-point lead for Washington. Here's King, rebound King. Bernard is staring at a 50-plus. And the Knicks, 81. King with 37. King got possession. Yes. 56-point performance against the Lakers back in 68. Bernard with 41. 1984. King again. Double up on King, but it has not mattered. Here's King again.
Oh, that's incredible.
45 for Bernard King. And the crowd has been won over by the one-time New York Knicks. He is hearing the cheers. In the fourth. Whistle before the shot. It will not count. Yes, it will. The basket counts. And a foul.
That will be a very special moment. 48 for King. Now this ball game will go down in Nick history as a very special one. He is receiving a standing ovation. 49 for Bernard King.
His remarkable comeback was complete, scoring 28 points per game and regaining his all-star form.
It's good to see him run the floor like that. That's what he did so well before the knee injury. His first 50-point game since undergoing major knee surgery.
King is displaying his explosive talents that were last seen 6 years ago when he led the league in scoring. He is once again pouring in 30 points a game, and by being named to the Eastern Conference All-Star squad, he's fulfilled a 6-year quest.
From the Washington Bullets, he led the NBA in scoring in 1985, suffering a career-threatening knee injury at the end of that season. He has successfully fought back to challenge for that title again this year. Forward Bernard King.
That's one of the most memorable moments of my career, for the very reason that I had thought about that moment for 6 years.
You talk about heart, you talk about coming back. What a story.
Three or 4 years after coming back from the knee injury that basically wipes out 2 years, he's an all-star level performer again for Washington, averaging again close to 28, 29 points a game.
That's 4 years of his career were lost, and he still was 19th in the league in scoring at that time. Absolutely mind-boggling.
It was one thing about Bernard King game that just stood out. It was the way that he was able to move in a quick fashion, but always just stop on the drop of a dime and make a counter move or pull up for a jumper.
Bernard going with a long jump shot. What a shot by King!
And nobody never knew what he was going to do. He was very deceptive out there on the basketball court. He was like a silent assassin. You know, didn't really say too much, but got the job done.
When you think about his career and what might have happened if he didn't blow out his knee that night in Kansas City, he might have been an all-time lock for the top 50.
Bernard King over Vanderway.
Line jumper
my favorite shot.
Unstoppable.
My favorite shot.
You rode this one all the way to Springfield and to the Hall of Fame.
And now the former King of New York has earned his place among the immortals of the game.
Yeah, you think of great players, the impact they've had. There's no question Bernard King, there's one place he belongs, that's in Springfield at the Hall of Fame.
In 2013, King received the game's highest honor. After 15 years of eligibility, he was finally selected for induction into the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Welcoming Bernard King to the Hall of Fame is Dominique Wilkins. Ladies and gentlemen, Bernard King.
Yeah, thank you. Really excited about that. You know, for kids here from Brooklyn, right here in Fort Greene, going to the Hall of Fame.
To say I'm delighted to be here would be an understatement.
An unstoppable scorer with an intense will to win. Bernard King left an indelible impression on all who saw him play.
It was an honor to play against him.
Bernard, you know You was a bad brother, man.